Here we are in El Cerro Sancancio at the top, which is a cerro or mountain within the city limits of Manizales. Manizales is the capital of the department of Caldas, and it's my home city. It's where I was born. And here, it's very well known for the variety of universities that are here. This is a center for a lot of the academia of all of Colombia. More than that, Manizales is an absolutely beautiful city with a lot of old architecture, including the cathedral, which is the tallest in all of Colombia. More than that, Manizales is next to the national park Los Nevados, where the tallest mountain in all of the country is located, El Nevado de Luis. And anyways, today I would like to talk to you about a poem of mine called Flawless, and give you the context. So Flawless, I wrote years ago when I was about 16, 17. Uh, I wrote it while I was in New York staying with my dad for a little while, and it was also the first place that I performed it. The poem started off from, it comes from two places. Number one, at the time I was looking at a lot of documentaries about Africa and about a lot of the suffering and civil wars and the different conflicts that have been ongoing there for a very long time since decolonization and even before. And more than that, it was also the stories of the conflict and the suffering of my people here in Colombia that I had heard for so many years through my father and my mother and my other family members. That from the two sides, I started thinking of first all that suffering, first all that horror, and then I started thinking about the idea of a person's last thoughts, the last moment somebody has on this planet or in this reality, where they're laying down or they're crushed under something or they fell off of something or they're dying from some disease or from whatever reason that they may be perishing. The idea that those last moments of life, what are those thoughts? What is that sensation you feel at the very end? Is it a overwhelming pain? Is it a fundamental sadness? Is it a blip and an indifferent happiness? Is it an ecstasy? And it was that I eventually came to the idea that that moment is a sort of perfection, a perfect moment in someone's life where they feel an overwhelming sensation that, whether you believe that it takes them to the other side or whether it finally just shuts everything off, that moment, I imagine, is a sense of bliss, a sense of absolute bliss that can come from any series of means. And more than that, the poem's focus, especially the part about silence and convenience and cleverness, all of that focuses on what leads to these grand scale conflicts that last decades and decades and ages, and why people on the outside of these conflicts, they just watch. They're spectators and occasionally participants, whether it's through donating money, whether it's through charities, or whether it's through people volunteering to go to these countries, whether as mercenaries or whether as volunteers to build schools and all that. We all participate in these conflicts because our world is so immensely interconnected. And the sad part is that people from the developed worlds, and even from other countries next to countries that are going to pieces, they're just spectators. And that spectating is a fundamental indifference that I would say is to a certain extent amplifying the horror that people in zones of conflict feel. And more than that, I would say that the poem, you were only thoughtless. You were just perfect. You were flawless. You were perfectly flawless. That is to put the lack the lack of self-reflection, the lack of need to try to change things, the lack of innate will or volition to try to solve and to bring to resolution these conflicts, whether it's from the people within those places or the people outside of those places. Indifference is a killer.